Good afternoon to you. It's 4 minutes past 2 and welcome to Running It Straight. No Sam Hewitt today. Stephen McIvor in the big seat with Jello. Anthony Gelling. Why do we call you Jello? Is that just Gelling, Jello? Why is it not Gello?
Well, I had a bit of an identity crisis, actually, because when I first moved away to Australia, I went to the Roosters and they called me Jello. Typical Aussies put I want everything.
G'day,
Jello.
mate.
G'day,
Jello.
Jello, mate. Jello. I went to UK after that. And they said, oh, no, we don't like Jello. We'll call you Gels. All right, Gels, Paul. All right, Gels. So I was Jello in Australia, Gels in the UK, moved back home. Identity crisis. Who am I?
Well, okay, let's figure it out. What would you like to be referred to as?
I like Jello.
Jello.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Thane's in the studio today, but he goes by the name of TJ.
We need to give you a nickname, Stephen.
No, I have a nickname. I have a nickname that my teammates call me. You know what it is.
What is it? Because I call you Steve and you get angry.
You don't call me Steve ever again.
Those fighting words, eh?
You're done. No, my nickname because of my first ever fight and was Big Show.
Oh, Big Show.
That's my nickname.
Oh, okay. Is that when you fought the Brown Bomber? Clint the Brown Bomber?
No, that was we had to talk about that fight. No, that was anyway. Moving on. TJ Ashford, Thane, but we call him TJ because when we called Thane. Coach of the winning Harold Matthews side, the Warriors, at the weekend. Mate, welcome to Running It Straight. Congratulations. Have you settled down yet?
Yeah, it's still pretty surreal at the moment, but it's obviously slowly, hitting home that, we've created history at the club, so very grateful to be a part of that occasion for the Warriors.
TJ, don't start talking like a coach, okay? Very grateful for the opportunity and things like that. Mate, you must have been stoked. First time a team's walked into the Harold Matthews in their maiden year and won the title.
Yeah.
How do you do it? How did you do it?
Oh, help from everyone, obviously. The club first and foremost for obviously putting the pathway opportunity on there for the young men, and I had some really good coaching staff as well, like the likes of Sponge and Seffor. And then I also had Paulie and my SNC, JP, who's quite renowned as well. So I had a really good staff there, and my manager, Molly, all of the boys did a great job. So
yeah, local legend, JP. Well, I'll just go back. I'll go back a step, okay? So I remember at the very start of the season, we had all the boys come in that we knew, had their families with them, and we had a night it's like a cultural night. So we celebrated the different cultures in the room, a lot of our Pacific Island, Māori culture, all the different groups that make up that team. And then that night, they also announced that you would be coaching the Harold Mats team. And straight away, everybody's reaction was, yes, that's the guy, that's the perfect guy for the job.
Wow.
And Stephen, you'll admit to this as well. When we do the calling with TJ, he knows every player, every player in Auckland, and their brother and their dad, and just everybody.
And what they had for breakfast most of the time.
What they had for breakfast.
So I think that's a really important thing to say. Everybody goes, yes. So where do you get this from? Where do you get this perceived? No, it's not perceived. This an incredible encyclopedic knowledge, but also the mana that comes with it.
It's driven through my family. Obviously, my old man and my uncle were big rugby league fans, and my most fond memories are back when I was a kid learning rugby league and watching footy. So I got a passion for it. I live and breathe it. I literally do, to the detriment of my wife at home and my kids. They're all actually, to be honest, they're all starting to love rugby league, which is it's slowly wearing off on them. But and obviously my current employment, I spent 6 years at Auckland Rugby League and now heading the pathway space there as well. So I know a little bit, a lot about the Auckland, district. But with my role, I travel the country a little bit in terms of our programs and pathways and rugby league stuff. So I get to know some of the kids playing at some of the national youth tournaments. So I do a little bit of homework, obviously. That's part of my role. So it's good to know all those up-and-coming kids coming through.
How do you identify a good player?
Everyone has their own different things that they look for, obviously. Our club has certain things. I can't dive too much into that. But
come on.
Characters, for me, character's massive. We like knowing the person and what you can get out of them is massive, I think, for the first step. And then obviously they have to have ability as well. Like that's first and foremost at an elite level. You got to have some sort of ability there as well. But character's a big thing that I look for in a person.
What's the so obviously there's a lot of people that got their eyes on things. They're looking out for players. They're looking out for talent. So you as the coach, you're not going to handpick the team, are you? So what happens when you come up you show up on day one and you've got a group which is typical of this age group, right? The Harold Matt's age group under 17s. Yep. You're going to have guys of different skill level, like big gaps. So when you get to the top with first grade level, those gaps are a lot smaller. At that age group, those gaps are going to be big. So how do you navigate yourself when you're coaching guys that are still learning the game if they've come from rugby, guys that are just elite, like ahead of their time? How do you kind of go about that?
It was pretty challenging for us at the start of the year. We had a big group. It was over about 50 odd kids that we had in our group, and some of them, like I think we had about 12 kids that are still capable of playing Harold Matts next year as well. So mixed of the older and the younger group there. But look, I think as coach, and something I've learned along the lines is you can't always assume that they know what they're doing. Every coach that they've had in their career has led them to this point. So it's about keeping things simple. We obviously have some values that we've got as a club as a whole at One New Zealand Warriors, and obviously we put a few things around that to like cater it to these boys or tailor make it to this age grade.
Yeah, I want to know values, and this is a really important thing for me to understand, that the values run from the top down.
Yep.
So you're all aligned.
Yep.
From a coaching perspective. Can you give me an example? When you talk about values, is it off-field values or on or both?
They relate to both on and off field. So our 3 team ones that we lived by this year was effort, attitude, and team first. So all of those values don't require skill. And when you break it down, like what does effort mean? Is your best effort every effort. Attitude to me means taking no shortcuts. And team first is team comes before me. So am I doing something in the benefit of the team rather than myself? And that's pretty much how we pick the side every week. And it was a simple process, but obviously the outcome speaks for itself.
How challenging for some of these kids, because you're putting them in a position where they could see the beginning of a career. How many struggle with that?
Oh, I think we all do, not just the players, but the staff as well. Like, I speak about this all the time. We expect them to come to training 4 nights a week, and then on their off days, we expect them still to do their recovery and stretch, and that's all part of being a professional footballer. And you look at some of their best mates, they're out there playing video games or going to malls and shopping and all that sort of stuff. They miss out on all that sort of stuff. So it's important that we still allow them to be young men at the same time, but we give them tools and things in place to make sure that they we can get the best out of them throughout the season.
Talking about player attitudes and stuff like that, I remember having a conversation with Adam Blair. So Adam Blair had the under-18s last year, the SG Ball. He said he really struggled with, you had guys at varied skill levels. He wanted everybody to have the basics locked down. And then that was met by a lot of frustration from the team because they just want to put on the big moves and slick plays and score tries,
Yep.
So how do you kind of navigate that? Because I felt like that SG Ball team that he had, after a couple of weeks, they lost a few games. There is this thing with this generation that's like, oh, well, let's just blame the coach and, we'll get a new coach and things like that. Because that's, it's like that kind of cancel culture.
The entitled attitude.
Yeah, the entitlement. Like, I don't feel like when I was coming through that was as big a thing. But with kids these days, it's so hard. What was your approach?
Well, Blairy's been massive for me too, as a lot of people have in the club. But Blairy rings me every week and talks to me about my progress and the team's progress, and he gives me feedback. That's the one thing about Blairy too, is he's passionate about our game and he just wants people to be successful. And he gave me a lot of feedback from his season, which I try and take and learn from myself.
Yeah.
Some of it works, some of it don't. That's part of your job as a coach, is to filter what you can adapt to. And I took some of the lessons that Blairy spoke to me about, and I think one of my good strengths, not only like my knowledge of the game, but I can break down a skill, even though it's basic. I can break it down to its purest form, and that's something that I've learned with my time of my development side with Auckland Rugby League, is how to break that down a little bit, and then you just start from there and you progress. And we said to our boys this year was we're not going to progress until the whole group's in that stage.
Yeah.
And at that, the important part is when you go on a journey like a competition, as playing team sport, it's about everyone. It's not just about the coach. It's not about your top stars or your spine or anything, everyone's got a role to play. And we had 18 boys on the weekend, but I put our success down to everyone in our playing group. Like we ended up, I think, finishing with about 42 in our total playing group, but every single one of them did their job for our group. And we all get to reap the rewards from it. So.
It reminds me of who was the famous Bulls coach, Phil
Jackson.
Phil Jackson. He was all about team first. No one's bigger than the team. Everything stays inside the team. But I'm a great believer too that good organisations. Let's look at your playing group and the coaching group as an organisation. It's led from the top. You lead from the top, and what has stood out right now in this early part of the conversation, you know how to communicate. If you can't communicate, you're stuffed as a coach.
Yeah, that was still a challenge for me this year too, though. Like because you're at an elite level, everyone assumes that they should just be playing in the 18. So, I was always I'm always big on not communicating via text or phone call if I can. Like I prefer face to face. I think that's the best thing. Sometimes, I remember I think it was round 2 or something. New South Wales Rugby League had put out the team list before I'd even spoken to the boys. Oh, wow. And I hate doing it by phone. So we fixed that up, and I apologise to the boys as well. But like that stuff doesn't sit well with me. Like I feel like I didn't do my job properly. So I try to be a little bit more prepared moving forward on those weeks, and just trying to communicate to the boys, what they need to do to get back into the side.
Well, how tough does that make it then that, you've got this team, I assume you guys are really close now, a really good group. You've had some success. Obviously, you can't keep hold of everybody going forward, So how does it, like, what are the conversations sound like? What does the decision-making process look like when you've got this squad list and you go, okay, we've got to whittle this down because not all these guys can move up to SG ball? What is that? Who's sitting at the table for those convos?
Oh, that's probably a little bit above me, to be honest, but I'll definitely be on the seat to have those discussions with some of those people. But, they've got like Cappy there, obviously Andrew McFadden. Sponge is a massive one for this age grade as well.
You better tell people who Sponge is. We know who Sponge is.
Yeah, Tony Edel is who Sponge is, but yeah, actually I barely call him Tony to be honest, so I know him as Sponge. But like those people have a massive part in the development of our club. And it's, like we were talking off air before, Sponge is part of the furniture at the Warriors, so he has Warrior DNA in him, so he knows what it takes to be there. And that's important. How
does it look then? Because if you're kind of making these decisions in the big picture, do you look at the roster that the Warriors have currently and go, okay, this is what we need? We need front rowers, we need halfback, whatever. Do you reckon that some of that goes on?
100%. I definitely think so in some form of shape or form, I guess. But at the end of the day, you want your best players staying here. That's what you want to try and do. So whether they're a halfback, a winger or a centre, we want to try and make sure that we're keeping them in the club. And then obviously all the contract saga that's way above me too with all the NRL players. So that all comes into picture later on in life too.
But you surely would be giving tips. You'd have your own tip sheet on players, and if asked, you'd say, actually, I think this individual could go all the way, or nah.
Yeah, 100%. My job, and this was made to me from the get-go. My job's not to win a Harold Mates competition. Ideally, that's as a competitive sport, that's what you want. But my job is to help develop the next Warriors NRL player.
So I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. If you're a coach, you want to win all the time. What's the point of being a coach? Winner, chicken dinner. It's like asking a player, what do you want to do? Oh, I just want to compete. No, you want to win a comp.
Oh, I'm not saying that wasn't our goal, because when you sit down in front of the group, what do you think the goal was? Do you know what I mean? It was win the competition. But if I coach and deliver my training sessions just to win, then I'm not doing my job properly. So the way I look at it is, if I can develop the individual, the outcome will speak for itself at the back end of the competition, which I'm hoping that's what we did this year. I feel like if you watched our semi-final games, I felt like we were definitely the better team in the semi-finals. We played better footy. We look good doing it too. We look like proper rugby league players. So I was real happy with what we did. But now they go back to club and school and learn old habits again, and that's important for us to maintain all that sort of stuff as well.
So you think that's a genuine thing? They'll forget half of what you taught them.
Habits is massive. Like, we talk about that a lot, or we've spoken about that all year, is creating good habits. And I think they talk to you about 10,000 hours or something like that. I don't know what the actual figure is, but they say it takes that long before you can develop the new skill or create a new habit. So we've done a lot of repetition stuff this year, but you can see it in the game, and that's the impressive part. Is as coaches, we sit back and watch and review the game, and we're like, man, it's good to see what we're doing be implemented out on the field, and that takes practice, hours of practice. So, credit to the boys, because sometimes repetition can be boring, but at the end of the day, if it provides an outcome of winning a competition, then that's the blueprint.
You talk team first, right? So it's probably very hard for a coach to pick someone out and say, actually, this individual this year blew us away, or these individuals. Were there a number of those that you went, oh my, I think we may have something special on our hands, or quite simply, this person, these people are going to be NRL players?
Oh, no, I'm not going to single anyone. Don't look at me like that either.
TJ, come on.
I said it before. I firmly believe that everyone's played their part. Like, when we have opposed sessions at training, if our opposition teammates aren't putting up the best possible opportunity for these boys to develop, we're not going to get anything out of the session. So, there's obviously NRL potential players in there, 100%, but their future hasn't been written yet, man. They've still got time to develop, and there's front rows out there that debut at 26 years old. So, their craft doesn't finish here. Obviously, you're not always going to get all of those kids to stay, but we want them to stay, and hopefully, they choose the One New Zealand Warriors moving forward.
Don't you love the word craft?
Yeah,
Don't you love to hear a coach call it a craft? Not a skill, but it's a craft.
And I think it is 10,000 hours. I think that's the magic number.
Yeah, I'm not big on all that stuff, but I'm pretty sure that's the.
I'm about 18 hours into my golfing career, so got a little bit of a mountain to climb. If you look at other teams in the NRL, like, look who's really killing it: Penrith, Broncos, Melbourne, and you look at what their junior system looks like. All those clubs have really strong junior systems. Penrith in particular, right? You could say that's the strength of their club, because whoever gets taken out is replaced by another key player. So I'm thinking, okay, if it is such an important role to develop these kids and have that system in place, if you have a coach that absolutely kills it at that age group with Harold Matz, is it worth it to say, okay, that's your job, you're perfect with that age group, we need these kids coming through, let's pay you how much you want to get paid, because we're going to pay you that amount because it's that important to us. We don't want you going to another club as an assistant coach. We don't want you slowly climbing the ladder. We want you to focus on our junior system, because that's the strength of our club.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, it is. And to be honest, I'm happy to just play my role within the club at the moment. Obviously, I've got ambitions to, later in life be an NRL coach. But I've had this chat with Cappy as well. I'm happy to bide my time and do what's best for our club at the moment, and I think that's important to know that as well. And we speak about the coaches and stuff. We just had that conversation 15 minutes ago. I think it's important that you learn your craft and take your time doing it.
Okay.
Because I've been coaching for 16 years. I'm still learning stuff today. Do you know what I mean? So there's always things that you can continue learning, but. It's important to know your players as well, and I think that's what's been good for me over the last 12 to 24 months. Is I know a lot of those boys in that system already, and we've got a bit of a relationship with them as well. So,
but there comes a point though, TJ, where you've got to be selfish for yourself, and okay, I've had enough. Someone comes along and says, hey, we want you to take our reserve grade side, our cup side, New South Wales cup side, and you don't know the players. Surely the challenge then is to go, okay, I think I know this game. Do you take that challenge, or do you play the blind loyalty card?
Oh, I think loyalty is massive for me. That's one of my values as a person. So, I feel like I am a very loyal person, and the club's been so good to me in terms of my development and give me an opportunity. And from the top down, Robbo, Cameron George, all of them been sending me messages every week, just with support and is there anything they can do. And even Webby had a conversation with me yesterday, stoked about the competition and how we won it. And man, you can't wipe the smile off his face. So for me, they're real supportive of me. And loyalty is a big thing for me. So I'm not planning on going anywhere.
Hey, Nick Minute, South Sydney new coach, TJ Ashford.
But can I ask you, listening to what TJ is talking about the support top down, have you been in a club like that before? Because for me, having been around the Warriors long enough, this is all feels so much fresher now. And I know this has been building, but to hear it from the horse's mouth, it feels like culture, which I sometimes mock because they say we've got a great culture and then someone goes and does something. That's not a great culture. A good culture stops anything happening. Nothing gets out, right? And not a lot gets out, i.e. Fisher Harris, right? That's a good culture. So is
I didn't even know that one either.
Well, there you go.
Well, I think they say with culture, so they say a weak culture will change for any new person that comes along, but a strong culture will change the new people that come. And I think when you talk about building culture, the Warriors right now, it is quite a new culture. There's a history that's well celebrated, but there's a lot of things that Webby's brought in that's created a new identity for the team. I think some clubs and teams, you might lose a CEO, you might lose key players. Kind of like Souths now, you lost Sam Burgess, you lost some really key guys, Adam Reynolds.
Yep.
And with them, you lose the nucleus
the identity goes out
of that culture. But yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, just quickly, because we're going to keep you in for the whole hour. Is that okay?
Yeah,
oh,
for
good.
sure.
You hate talking about rugby league, of course. Who do you use as your benchmark as a coach? And it doesn't have to be Webby, so you don't upset him if he's listening. I mean, benchmark yourself. Who would you like to be like?
I want to be like myself, but I want to take qualities from every coach that I come across.
You sound so much like a coach already.
No, well, that's what I mean. Like Webby's obviously got some really good traits, and he communicates really well with his players, and I liken that to myself a little bit. I feel Craig Bellamy. I was a big Storm fan. I'm still a Storm fan as well, but I look up to him as a coach. And Slato last year, I did a little bit of work with New South Wales Cup last year as like a junior assistant kind of thing, coach to Slato and Slade Griffin.
Have you got that blow up in you though?
That's Slater.
That spray. Have you got a spray like a Bellamy spray? In
yeah.
You?
Oh, you have.
I have.
Oh,
I probably haven't. I wouldn't say I use it as much now. I learn a little bit. I feel there's other ways to communicate with players these days, but I think you need to have a blow up from time to time. Sometimes, even when you're playing good, I think sometimes it's good to just keep it fresh and blow them up anyway. You know what I mean? So, like sometimes things can be going too good, and you just need to get a rocket back up.
Well, maybe it's because they go, oh, actually, he is angry, and if it's a rare thing, it has its effect.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, you're listening to Run It Straight here on SENZ this Wednesday. TJ Ashford, successful, victorious Harold Matt's coach, Jello and McIvor in the house as well. We're going to talk a little bit of the Wars now, the Warriors. They haven't been going so well, and we'd love to have your thoughts as well. 0800 15 0811, or text us on the Timber Bedpost text line 8833 on SENZ. SENZ running it straight at 2:31 on a Wednesday. The first day of May, pinch and a punch, the first of the month, no return. I was going to slap and a thump with you, Jello, but you're bigger than me, so and I know what they have.
I don't think you have the reach, mate.
Yeah, you do, mate. Don't worry about that. Joey, 0800 15 0811. G'day, Joey. What's up?
Yeah, g'day, fellas. Look, I'll make it quick. Tero Martin's is too much of just a link for 5'8" at the moment. He's got to be a bit more of a foil for Johnson. They're predicting Johnson's getting too predictable because he's getting the ball all the time now, and Martin's the sides that have got good combinations at halves and 5'8", you don't know which. It's going to one or the other. Tero to be a link man at the moment, and that could be one of the problems. Also, too, when they got the ball wide early on against the Titans, when they started the game off, they were missing a player, and the second runner was taking the ball up. They did that, and they scored 12 points, and then they just went straight back to taking up the guts.
All right, no, fair play, Joey. Thanks for that. I appreciate the call. If you want to get involved, 0800 15 0811.
Yeah, I see what you mean, Joey. So, if you look at the stats, so Sean Johnson, he's taken on the line 83 times. That's by far the most in the comp. I think
but
the next one behind him is
that effective line take?
Well, no, and compliments to what Joey's saying. You don't have the 6 and 7 working together. You have a 6 getting them to the point, and then it's everything's got to come off Johnson at the moment. And you spoke about the variation that you see with the lead runners in the first half. We see that quite a lot. There is a little bit of variation, which I think they might practice at training, and that gets them the first 2 tries, and then after that, it's there's no more tricks in the bag. And you could see it a few times with Johnson. He takes on that block shape, and they read it. They take the lead runner, they take the guy out the back, and he's left with the ball, just kind of kind of pump into no man's land. There's no real help from the six to get involved again or to improve himself.
Okay, so I raised Tamati Martin. I put a question mark over that. But what's your answer? Is it Chance? Sorry, not Chance. Is it Chanel Harris-Tavita?
Yeah, no, I think you got to look at how they've been training all preseason as well. Like Tamati's come back from a massive injury last year, so he's slowly getting back to his normal self.
You see, I can't cop that.
Well,
I can't cop that.
Well, I think
what's preseason for?
No, but chemistry is important too. And that's you try as coaches, you try and replicate as much as you can on the training paddock, but nothing replicates an actual footy game of NRL.
But to use your thing, to use your argument, Bellamy puts a player in there who hasn't been there for 8-9 weeks, slots in straight away, and the system's fine. That's my point. Is that is it the football nous of the individual that is lacking?
I think it's if you look at what you assume the Warriors' focus would be, and it shows on the stats. Okay, so Warriors lead the comp in meters. They lead the comp in possession. Not possession. Set completions. Okay, so along with them leading the comp in set completions, you got who else is there? You got the Titans and you got the Raiders. All right, really good at holding the ball, getting to the end, getting to their kick and things like that, but it's not scoring points. Okay, compare that to the Broncos. The Broncos got the most points in the competition. They also make the most errors. Okay, so you could say to make an egg, you got to make an omelette, you got to break a few eggs.
Wow, you brought that one
example.
out.
So I think the focus is let's get down there. Let's be really good in transition. Let's be really good in getting to the right part of the field. But there needs to be more focus now that we're here, how do we convert this into points?
Some of that red zone attack was horrible the other day. I haven't seen indecision like that in a long, long time. But I will use this as a cautionary slogan, right? Wipe away the fluff of the whys. Stop thinking about the whys that were in 2023. 2024 is another year, and the competition's still pretty tight. And there are people in the top 8 that weren't even there last year and hunting around. I'm not willing to throw them under the bus yet. There's a long way to go. And I think, TJ, we were talking about where they were 6-6 last year, and then they won 10 of their last however matches. So I'll agree with you there. You've just got to give it a little bit of time and for chemistry. But the chemistry, it's not bubbling right now. So they're breaking a few, what do they call those little glass bottles? Yeah, they're breaking a few bottles in the lab.
Yeah, test tubes, I think, yeah. But no, in terms of, I didn't get to watch the game on the weekend because we were on the flight, but what did they lose by 2 points?
3 is a drop goal in it.
Drop
3 points.
So when you look at it,
we're
sitting there talking like they didn't have a good performance, but they lost by 3 points in a tough game. So,
but it's a loss.
It is a loss, but I know that they're working on stuff at training,
and you were just waiting for that last try. The last 10 minutes, you're just expecting it, like waiting. It just they were close, and it didn't come, which was frustrating.
All right, it's 2:37. Let's go to another break. Come back and we'll look at the team and get frothy about it. Stay with us, sir, on Running It Straight. 2:42 with Stephen McIvor, Jello and TJ Ashford, the victorious Harold Matts coach, winning it in their first year. A couple of nice texts on the Tempo Bedpost text line, TJ. Can't stop smiling about the Harold Matts triumph and coach. Thank you so much, says Dave. And Mike goes, Happy Mike goes, real proud of the coach and the team. You beat Aussie teams 3 times away. Some feat which watch the highlights every day. Thank you. Best regards for your future. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, thanks for all the support, guys. The grand final day, man, we had so much support on the stands, so it was good to have those guys.
All right, round 9 of the NRL. The Warriors line up like this. Let me go to the back of the Stephen start. Klokstad, DWZ, Rocco Berry, Tuivasa-Sheck, Marcelo Montoya, Tamari Martin, Sean Johnson on the halves. Fanua Blake, Egan, Mitchell, Barnett in the front row. Forward, Capewell is back. And Tohu Harris is your skipper at the back row. Dylan Walker, Tom Ale, Jacob Lennon, and Bunty Afoa returns. On the flip side, still no Kalen Ponga, so David Armstrong in the number 1 jersey for the Knights. Marju, like him. Gay guy, best like him. Tuala, Tyson Gamble, Jackson Hastings, not so flash there. Saifiti, Brayley, Thompson, Lucas, Pierce, Paul, and Adam Elliott. Their benches, Crossland, Saifiti, Cartwright, and Brody Jones. Yeah?
Yeah, there's a lot to like about that team. David Armstrong, second game. He went good last week. Did you catch that one?
Yeah, I did. No, he was good. He scored a try on debut as well. So
I think he might get Chevy Stewarted this week. Do you know what I mean? So Chevy Stewart had a great debut. Second game he's there against the Broncos, and they just bombed the life out of him, and he got smoked. It was one of the most gutsy performances I've seen, but I think the Warriors could get some joy there, going through, putting some pressure on David Armstrong for that kick game, that big high kick game, that uncontested kick game that we know and love.
I'm concerned about the right edge, Berrien's DWZ. It looks really out of sorts at the moment. I feel like DWZ is what I call the manus. Remember when Manu used to rush in off the wing? He's been caught out a number of times rushing. He's got the manus. How do we settle that down?
He's got the manus minus the someone ending up in a neck brace, I think. The old whiplash at the end of a manu. But yeah, I know what you mean. They seem to be a little bit out of sync, the two of them. I don't know if it's a communication thing or what, but that Titans left edge really, I think it was Brian Kelly in centre. He's a sharp customer, man.
Yeah, and Marju's on that left edge, isn't he? Marju's on the left edge for the Knights.
Yeah, I believe he is.
Yeah, but that kid can play, and so I think they've got. I think what we all want is an 80-minute performance, not a 15-minute first half, 15-minute back end of the second half.
Yeah, it's like we've seen that they need a fall behind to get going and chase the game down.
Do you have an issue? I got an issue. I need a tissue. I'm running out of time too. Fanua Blake, how are they using Fanua Blake? I get the feeling I don't see enough of him because when he's on, they are going forward. They are obviously that's his role. But last week I felt like where was he? Are they limiting his time? Do you know anything of how they're playing him, TJ?
No, I don't know anything.
You do, you just won't tell me.
Nah, it's again like it's not just down to one man
Yeah.
in the performance. Like everyone else, whether he's on the field or off the field, everyone else has to do their role as well. So I know the boys aren't happy with the performances, but they've gone out there at the training paddock and looking to fix it. So I expect them to bounce back this week.
Should we look across the league for a second?
Should we look across the league? Should we take a wee break and then we'll come back and look across the league, shall we? Should we take a break now? We'll take a break and then we'll look across the rest of the league.
Okay, let's do that.
Let's do that. Okay, I'm in the big seat, remember that. Okay. Heading towards 2:51, Stephen McIvor, Jello and TJ Ashford. Just a reminder, Wednesday night rugby league, the Auckland Rugby League starts tonight, first round. The Stormont Shield between last year's finalists, the Point Chevrolet Pirates and the Richmond Bulldogs, is the first game at 6 o'clock on Sky Sport 3, followed by the Steel Shanks Women's Premiership, which is the return of the Richmond Rovers against, oh gosh, I've forgotten. Otara Scorpions, my apologies.
Otara.
Both those games live on Sky Sport 3 and on the Auckland Rugby League YouTube channel. So a lot of footy. Jello will be in the middle tonight doing all the presentations. That'll be a bit of fun to watch. Anywho, let's move on. Jason Demetrio, thanks for coming. Gone as the South's coach. They brought in Ben Hornby, which I like. David Finner for me was never an option.
So who do you think's next? Who are they going after?
Well, it's obvious.
The big question.
Well, that's obvious. All the fingers are pointing towards Wayne Bennett. I think it's a really dumb move. And I think about how we were talking to TJ about structure and succession. Where's South's succession plan? If it is a true succession plan and Hornby's good enough, he becomes the next coach.
Yeah.
I just think it's... I sense panic when you start going back to that same well because you've had success.
Yeah, I think so too. If you look at the team that Wayne Bennett's just had, so he had a Dolphins team that was thrown together, kind of pat together. So he was like the guy to, come on, we need to get this going now kind of thing. So I think Souths are kind of taking that same approach, like we need a coach that can we need something straight away, straight off the bat.
Yeah, but why not just suffer a little bit? Why not take some pain first? TJ, will you take a little bit of pain?
Oh, that's South Sydney are a club with a very proud history, so I don't think they'd accept having a year to rebuild. Do you know what I mean? They expect, victory straight away. So it's always tough. Like I'm a coach, I'd hate to be in JD's position at the moment too.
Okay, does this excite you as a team? Gray, Gagai, Whiten, Tass, Thompson, Walker, Hawkins, Kolomatangi, Cook, Mawale, Cheekham, Host, Murray.
Not in the halves. I think Jack Whiten needs to go to 6. I've been saying that for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's their best team, and there's obviously Latrell, no Alex Johnson this week.
Latrell needs to grow up. Latrell needs to learn what it takes to be a consistent NRL player, and I think he's an entitled player. I think it's time he needs to understand that to be and you will agree with this, right? Attitude, application, effort, all those things. It has to be day in, day out. And Sydney, you will understand this, is a fishbowl, right? So if you're caught in that fishbowl and do something wrong, how you handle that and how the club handles it is even more important.
I think he's not a leader. He's a really good player. He's a hell of a player. He's a hell of an athlete. Everyone in that team's looking at him like, where we going? Like, you know, him and Whiten too. Like, Whiten's never been in that position. When he's at Canberra, he's been surrounded by good leaders. And now all of a sudden they're both in that position. Like, you know, you guys are the ones we're looking to. I don't think he's ready for that.
No.
I think he will be ready for it. Just take some adjusting. But I think, you know, guys.
Some players just don't build into that kind of leadership, you know, sort of position anyway. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that puts up too much pressure on them.
Well, heaps of people compare him to Greg Inglis, right? There's a lot of similar things about them. Greg Inglis was the same.
Yep.
You know, he's.
Give him the ball. Don't expect
Give me
him to
the
lead.
ball, yeah.
Give him
Give
the
me
ball.
I'm not going to give you a big speech at halftime. Just give me the ball and watch what I do.
Because that's where
For
the power of
example.
influence came from him as a player. You imagine following Greg Inglis around there all day. Yeehaw. How
then
much fun.
But then you also look at when Souths last won the comp, Greg Inglis did step into that leadership role eventually. You know, that was after his time at Melbourne and things like that.
Like again, like mid-30s. That's you know, he's got Latrell's still got time on his side. He's
Yeah,
still a young
that's what I
footballer.
mean.
You know what I mean? So, no, look, it's easy to throw
Rocks.
rocks from the outside. We don't know what's happening within the camp. So,
I just don't think he's being handled well by the club, and I would suggest that's also part of why Dimitri has gone. Because I think how they handled Latrell was really poor. They'll get their asses handed to them by the Panthers tomorrow.
Well, it's a full Panthers team.
Yeah, well,
So everybody back except for Scott Sorensen.
Yeah.
It's a full team, and that if they can keep that team together, I can see them going on an absolute rampage up until I think they have a
they're still
by
in
round
top
16.
8 too, eh?
I think the only thing that could really hiccup them is the origin period. So before they get their next bye, they got 2 origins to deal with, and they're going to lose a lot of players. Same with Brisbane. You know, it's always gonna happen. And maybe the Warriors too. No Wade, maybe. No Mitch. Who knows? You know, those are some names that were chucked in. Freddie Lussick, number 14 off the bench. I threw his name in there when he was in the studio.
Really?
Yeah.
Lussick at 14. Moving on. Seagulls play the Raiders Friday night. And you got to look at the Seagulls because Olakawatu's out, but DCE got the fine and you can play, and they probably needed that one. Although Olakwatu's a huge out.
Yeah, actually, that change to that edge is going to be difficult for them too. But DCE's a crafty player, man. He'll kick them into corners all game, and you know, Canberra's coming off the back of a bit of a hiding too.
Yeah,
so.
but they're a young team, right? And Ricky's already gave that excuse at the beginning of the season that, you know, he didn't say don't expect us to do much, but he was quite clear that it was a rebuilding team.
He's happy with the underdog tag though, eh, Ricky?
Oh, he loves it.
Yeah,
and he gets the most out of the boys through that.
100%.
Yeah. But
Big game Friday, got to be Broncos Roosters.
that's the game of the round, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both coming off good wins too on the last weekend. So, you know, Roosters obviously putting the cleaners through the Dragons or whatever. But
I think there's one little thing that the Roosters, where they keep falling down, is they keep putting Joseph Suwali at centre. I don't think he's a centre. Every time they've lost games, it's been his decision-making at centre that's let them down. When he's on the wing, he's an absolute beast. He's so good. And they put on that clinic last week. He was on the wing for that.
one of the hardest positions to defend into is at 2-man in the centres.
Yeah,
so
he's just half a step behind. He's a really good athlete, and he can get across, but it's just the decision making to make that decision to come in.
Not a natural centre either. Eh?
Nah, you can see it.
Yeah,
and it puts pressure on Tupou because Tupou's on the wing, and then he's got to make that read. But he's obviously Tupou's back from injury this week, so that pushes Suoliti back into centre, and you have to play him. You know, you have to play him and Tupou and Joey Manu and Dom Young. You can't leave one of them out.
No,
you know, they're
And Keary's retiring. That's the other. That was the other big news this week. And they've got, and all those players leaving, they've got a lot of cash to spend up.
Yeah, I saw that on
$3.5 million, was it? $3.5 million they got to spend.
yeah.
But they're. Losing guys to rugby. That just upsets me no end. But
Well, I was surprised to see him retiring because I thought, what, already? And then you check his age, he's, early 30s, and I thought, I remember watching this guy debut, like it wasn't that long ago.
Joey?
Nah, Keary.
Oh,
Luke Keary.
Yes, actually, right.
So you think,
three
what?
premierships.
Yeah, time just goes like that, and you go, what? He's fit.
You don't show
Wow.
it, mate. You don't show it whatsoever. Who do you pick, though? Broncos or Roosters? Broncos, it's at Suncorp.
Bronx.
Yeah, two reasons. The Suoliti thing and Broncos at Suncorp just don't lose, man. They turn it on every time.
Ezra's back too, eh?
Ezra Mam. I just get back to that grand final. Oh,
That's
that just kills me.
I think that's going to be the game of the round. And before we run out of time, can we talk about Paul Kent?
Nah, no. Why give him oxygen? Why give?
Can
him
I just say? Okay, I won't talk about. I just want to say
we can't because it's all
It's probably the most Australian thing you can do is go out on Anzac night, get
on
pissed, and have a punch up outside the pub.
Yeah, but what he's forgotten is his profile.
Okay, what about this for a question?
And now he's in hospital with a collapsed lung and
What
broken
about
ribs.
this for a question? Because as soon as I say it, the calls for this are going to get louder.
Well, we're
and
going
louder.
to go off air, so you better hurry.
Steve McIvor. Stephen McIvor.
No,
versus
McIvor,
Paul
it's
Kent.
McIvor.
Stephen
He
McIvor.
did a fight
versus
for
Paul
life.
Kent.
He did a fight
Can
for
we
life.
get another one?
Oh, no, I'm not allowed. I'm
Why?
actually physically not allowed. Physically, I'm not allowed.
Why? Because you'll kill someone?
Well, there's the potential of the big Irish right coming out and destroying someone, like I did last time.
What's his nickname? Is it what was it?
The Big Show.
The Big Show.
No, and I watched him fight. I wouldn't go up against him. He's an angry little ant. And
I think it'd be a good
he'd go,
matchup,
mate,
mate.
I'm not a fighter.
I think you put one on his chin, he does a 360,
Yeah.
an NRL 360.
Big Irish right. Can I just say I'm really looking forward to the Bulldogs beating up on the Tigers because my doggies are starting to find some form. Why? So you don't believe that at all, TJ?
Nah, I think it'll be a scrappy game between those two teams this week. But both of them on a bit of a knife edge at the moment. It can go either way.
Okay, we got 30 seconds. Warriors or Knights? We haven't even said that. No one's picked it.
Up the wires.
Oh, stop that.
Warriors 1 to 12.
Warriors 1 to 12. I'm going to go better. I'm going Warriors 13 plus.
Nice.
And that's way out of my thinking before I came into the studio. TJ, thanks for spending some time
Thanks
on
for
Running It
having us,
Straight.
guys.
And once again, on behalf of everybody in the rugby league community, congratulations to you and Harold Matt's team for creating a little bit of history.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Champ. And Jello, I'll see you tonight for Wednesday Night Rugby League. 6 o'clock live on Sky Sport 3 and the Auckland Rugby League YouTube channel. That's Running It Straight. The real Sam Hewitt will return next week. Take it easy. The run home's coming next.
SENZ. It's Kiwi for Sport.